What is that? Oh my god. Oh. It's spoilers. Dying Light 2 is next on my list of things I have to binge because I hate myself. And oh boy, do I have some takes. But before I even begin to lovingly cultivate my first ever hate mob, I think I better explain to you what Dying Light 2 is. Dying Light 2 is an open-world questing zombie game, but its main features are its robust parkour system. Oh, looks like someone didn't jump as far as me. All the things to get fucking uppity over. It's expansive and girthy combat.
I missed an opportunity to kick someone off. Whoa!
And it's voluptuously campy riding. If any of that made sense to you, then you are just way too horny. Dying Light 2 introduces you to the last remaining city, a place named Villedor. You enter it looking for your sister, but end up getting caught up in the quest for the Great MacGuffin, and then get hanged. Off to a rough start. He's obviously saved by totally not a twist character, Hakon. Now you must navigate the political climate of Villedor to get the answers you're looking for, whilst also getting revenge on the closest thing to a JoJo villain since Prince copy striked Araki. The game's writing is... well, it's there. It is janked to the high heavens on all fronts.
What the fuck?
And if the jank isn't bad enough, you have to wrangle performance too. But even with those problems, the game remains good fun. There's something special about Dying Light 2 that can't be denied. But there is one problem, one grand overarching f*** up that has just ruined and desaturated the game for me. The short answer is, well, the game is too easy. Long answer, well, the game's mechanics that set its foundations ultimately undermine the engagement of the player. But let's break that one down, shall we? Welcome to my hot take. There's 3 main dot points to this: mechanics, enemies, and rewards. So let's begin. Dying Light 2 has a lot of interconnected mechanics that each complement each other. Parkour is the main thing that you'll be doing all game, and it combines seamlessly into combat. It makes sense that the parkour man with the parkour plan can parkour break your neck. This combat style is a blast to use. You'll be flinging enemies around, drop-kicking and gutter-stomping to your heart's content. And then you'll add on weapons, throwables, and overpowered crossbows. It is amazing. It's awesome when it works. Then there's the day-night mechanic. During the day, everything is simply easier. Zombies get sunburned quick, so they prefer to stay inside lest they just start combusting, leaving you to roam the world effortlessly and deal with the stragglers that stay out past their bedtime. Getting around in the day is simple, doesn't require much thought or preparation put into it. But then there's nighttime, or as I call it, rush hour, where all the zombies get up and go to work doing whatever it is zombies do. The streets become crowded with the dead. And not only that, but more variants will start to appear, like howlers, which exist as sort of alarm bells for the player. Mildly inconveniencing any of them will begin a chase sequence. Chases are Dying Light 2's best moments. Sprinting for your life to try and dodge fast-moving virals and volatiles is some of the best gameplay. It is just awesome. When you're making a daring escape and doing anything you can to shake them, it is exhilarating. Honest to God, some of the best gameplay you can have. That's not all you have to worry about though. The zombie virus that everyone has, it's beginning to turn you the longer that you're in darkness. Your immunity, represented by this donut of danger, represents how much time you have left before your diet goes full-on organic. It's another awesome idea that gives the player this burning time-based anxiety the longer you're out at night. These are the fundamentals of Dying Light 2's core gameplay loop. Killing baddies, doing quests for planks of wood, being careful at nighttime, and using parkour to get glitched out at fucking time trials. No, I haven't forgiven you for that yet, game.
Fuck sakes. God damn it. You are entering a restricted area.
Dude, don't do that noise! Come back!
Climb up, go Dying Light 2's enemies exist in two states, alive and dead. Simple as. Human enemies are broken down into boys, biggins, archers with aimbot, bards, and bandits with party tricks. They're simple to fight, and combat skills have a breadth of use on them. Fucking hell. But zombies are where the game gets its variety. You've got the basic zombies that you'll encounter everywhere, but they're more of an obstacle or a springboard than an actual threat. But then there's like 11 other zombie types in the game. You'll only ever encounter 4 of them regularly. The rest are reserved for very specific situations, encounters, and world events. All throughout the game, those 5 enemies are going to be the ones on your shit list. I'd say they account for about 99% of all the zombie kills you're going to get. There's a couple zombies to cover, so we're just going to speed through them. Virals are zombies from 28 Days Later. Bolters aren't even enemies, they're just world events. Goons are big dudes with big stupid attack hitboxes. You'll only ever encounter them if you go looking for them. Demolishers I've seen like twice in the whole game. That's 41 hours on hard difficulty, by the way. Bombers only started appearing after a late game story quest, and even then you'd be lucky to find one out in the wild after it. Spitters you'll just find around the area at night. Howlers are everywhere at night, and they only pose a threat because of the chase sequences. I saw one Banshee all game, and it was only at the start because of a scripted event. I've heard they can spawn at these locations where bolters do instead of them, but good luck finding one. Anomaly zombies only spawn in these locations as bosses. Chargers are pushovers that I've seen once all game, and once again, it was a scripted event. Drowners are just exploding virals, and volatiles are the only real tangible threat to the player at all points of the game. Phew! That was all the zombies. It's important that I tell you them all because I'm going to use them in an argument later. But for now, it's time to get on to the third topic. Rewards. Dying Light 2 has more random crap in it than a looter shooter, and it is just everywhere. At the start, the game really emphasizes how much you're gonna need all the miscellaneous junk that the world has to offer. You even have an echolocation ability so you don't miss anything. Along with crafting materials though, there's weapons, armor, and consumables just littering the setting. It's in chests, quest rewards, events, it's in people, not people, it's everywhere. You can't escape just how much stuff this game is gonna throw at you. You will drown in it. It's weird that none of this stuff is scarce at all. Look how much money I've got up there. That is too much stuff. Towards the later section of the game, you're actually going to be throwing weapons away instead of fully using them up. The game just hands you that many. And the armor rewards are scarcely rewards. Get ready for 1,000,000 random bits of gear with 1,000,000 random stats on them. There's no decision making in it at all. You'll find a random bit of armor that has stats that are more green than another piece and you'll equip it. No depth whatsoever. You'll get so many of these that you just stop caring. And with how much the game pulls its punches, it's not like you're trying to eke out every little minor increase that you can get your hands on. So armor and weapons quickly lose their value, as you're wanting for nothing in a goddamn apocalypse. What's more is that cool immunity system I mentioned earlier? It was never a problem again after the 4-hour mark, because the game just keeps handing you higher and higher level consumables. You don't need to craft any more of them, especially when you need to level up the crafting recipe to craft the higher level versions that the game is already handing you. Why bother grinding better crafting recipes if you never need them? Ever. I found more maxed out immunity puffers lying around than I could ever actually go through, completely invalidating the immunity mechanic entirely. This rings true for so many other features of the game, and ties directly into my main point for the video. Now that you know the important parts of the game, we can discuss my grievances with it. The game at its core is an awesome experience, but as your guy gets stronger in combat, in survivability, in parkour, the game does nothing to challenge that newfound power. Those few main zombie types are all you'll encounter for the rest of the game, and they just get spongier, so that your higher and higher leveled weapons don't just instantly one-shot them. But you do anyway, because you become a parkour powerhouse, just stomping, pulping, and obliterating any threat that you encounter with impunity. But Flex, I hear you ask, what about those other enemies you mentioned? The Demolishers, the Revenants, the Volatiles, don't they pose a threat to the player? Yes, they do, but Demolishers rarely spawn. If they spawn more outside of story quests, I sure as shit haven't seen them. By the time bombers start spawning, the player is more than equipped to make them more pointless than a basic enemy. And even then, they can sometimes be helpful. And volatiles, the face of the game, spawn only if you make them. If you go into a dark zone during the day, which you never do, you might encounter one. If you get level 3 or 4 in a chase, they'll start spawning, and you'll encounter about 20 chasing you around over the game's main story quests. That is it. The one thing that can make nighttime scary, you have to go out of your way to spawn in. The literal one enemy type that's supposed to put you on edge is instead held in reserve. Getting level 3 or 4 in a chase sequence is actually harder than just escaping a chase sequence, especially as the player gets more abilities. Watch my friend here with a level 3 glider and grappling hook. The game's abilities are fun as hell, but that fun is quickly ruined by the fact that the game can no longer challenge and engage the player. Every encounter, every situation you might find yourself in can be easily bypassed with little effort. When you give the player the keys to the castle, you're supposed to make the castle a difficult area, not make it even easier. And with loot being everywhere, literally everywhere, at no point is the player incentivized to go out of their way and challenge themselves. Like with literally every other game ever, combat and difficulty is quickly devalued and trivialized by the player's growing prowess and the game's lack of pushback. I don't understand why the enemies that are already in the game aren't utilized more often to engage the player. Parkour becomes so powerful that avoiding fights entirely becomes a normalcy. And the very incentive to do those fights is quickly made redundant by the fact that you're constantly bombarding the player with that loot. In Skyrim, Dark Souls, and Terraria, you have to go through dangers and challenges in order to get new and unique rewards. Dying Light 2 just gives you most of the rewards you'll ever get by the midpoint in the game. It got to the point where lockpicking chests became more trouble than it was worth. The items contained within, even if better than my current ones, would be so minor in increase that it just doesn't matter anymore. Do I really need that weapon with +5 damage or that armor with a 2% stat increase if every fight ends with me stomping on a head or killing a dude in 3 swings? Do I even need to do the fight and waste resources if I can just parkour away? Is the reward the enemy's guard worth the time it takes to beat them? Dying Light 2 is a game that has a bunch of great ideas, great mechanics, and a bunch of jank, but any features quickly become boring chores when the path getting to them is too easy, and the rewards for having done so aren't even worth the time it takes to open the boxes containing them. The craziest part of all is that the makings of the game I want to see are already there. It's a simple matter of making the loot spawns more rare and the enemies that are actually threatening to the player becoming more numerous. It's literally that simple. It's just unbalanced, which results in an unbalanced experience. Could you imagine how much more interesting nighttime would be if there was one volatile every square 75 meters or so, just blending into the crowd? We don't even need to wonder if that's a good idea or not. It was in the first game, and it was awesome. So to summarize, the short answer, the game is too easy. The long answer, too many rewards and not enough use of threatening enemies results in wasted mechanics, trivial fights with no depth, and a world that does not incentivize you to explore it. Then compound on top of that the performance, the jank, the glitches, the Far Cry style open world, and the many other wonderful systems made redundant by the player's growing prowess, and you have a recipe for disaster. The final takeaway? Dying Light 2 is a fun game, with a lot of potential, a lot of great ideas in it. The thing that hurts the most is that I can see greatness inside, but it's held back by its own design. Anyway, I'm Flex of Funk, and thank you for watching my video. If it pissed you off, remember to dislike it, because that doesn't matter now. I love my 100% like ratios. Speaking of, please like the video if you enjoyed it. It means a lot to me because it spreads it around, and maybe one day I can afford to upgrade my computer and not deal with this. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later. This combat style is a blast to use. You'll be flinging enemies around, drop-shotting.